Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Slipping Out. In this one we're going to be taking a look behind the scenes of Tekken 7 DLC stages and some other cool stuff that happens in the game too. So first of all, I'm just going to be taking a quick look at some of the stages that have had a bit of a makeover since we last visited Tekken 7. Now I'm not going to spend too much time on these because essentially they are the same stage just with different textures and lighting effects. Like for instance, Jungle Outpost has different watercolour and Skybox from its original sunset theme. But if you do want to see these stages in more detail, I will leave the link to my original Tekken 7 video in the description. Some of my viewers may remember from the original episode that I took a look at the jet fighters and helicopter flying around Twilight Conflict and G-Corp helipad. Now when I did this originally, to my surprise, I found that even though from the outside of the jet fighter's cockpit there's a solid texture which we can't see through, inside we can still find that the developers did model a pilot, even though there's no way of seeing it, which I thought was kinda cool to find. One of my viewers at the time did point out that this could be due to the model being reused from a separate game, where maybe you could have seen the pilot, which is very possible and could be the reason. However, whatever the reason, I do love to find these little details and show them just so you know that they're there when you're playing the game normally. It's gotta be said that I do love the nighttime theme of Infinite Azure 2, and I think it actually suits the stage perfectly and looks much better than the old cloudy daytime theme. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Alright, so moving on to one of the main features that was released with the Season Pass 1, which is of course Tekken Ball. And I was curious to find out a few things about this mod, mainly because it's so different from the standard fighting gameplay and stages we'd expect and that we've looked at in Tekken. First of all, I couldn't help but notice that out of camera shot after every ball, for literally just a couple of frames, all the characters I looked at did a T-pose before resetting into their normal position. However, when playing as Noctis, I also noticed something else that seemed a little peculiar. Now I've slowed the footage down so you can just about see above his arms he appears to spawn his sword and something else above his left arm, which I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I do know during a normal fight he spawns different weapons, and I guess it could be one of these, which would make sense, but if you think you know what it could be, then feel free to drop a comment. Also, playing as Noctis, there are a couple of cool little differences, like for instance the two normal spectators are replaced with his friends, and also if you overcharge he does his flip rather than going down face first. I think it's about time we took a look at what's outside the Tekken Ball arena, as I did have a couple of requests for this after the last episode. Unfortunately there isn't too much, but I will show what I did find out here as it was requested. First of all, there's what looks like a city skyline texture which circles the whole arena, but it does only appear when the camera is way higher than the map itself, therefore you'd never normally see it. Other than the skyline border, there's these two large runoff sections on either side of the arena that are probably just there as waste from when the map was built. Alright, so I'm just going to show you some details of the maps that weren't included in the original video, and this one in particular, Hammerhead, was pretty impressive on how much spur map there is outside the stage itself, and also how much detail there is outside. I've got to admit, I've never played Final Fantasy. Sad, I know, but it's true, please don't hate me. But I'm guessing this was part of the map included in the latest release of that game. But I couldn't believe they'd kept certain details inside this map, like the interior to the caravan, which I believe you can go in inside Final Fantasy, right down to the reflection on the, I hope I pronounced this correctly, chocobo birds? But anyway, take a look for yourselves. The last stage in this video we'll take a look at is the Howard Estate. Most of the main room you can see as you fight normally, but I was quite surprised how much of the exterior was loaded before we go through any wall breaks. However, once we are outside, the opposite happens and practically everything from inside the main room disappears. But we do now get some lovely looking scenery, like these colourful trees and a Japanese style building over on these cliff tops, which incidentally seems to be crumbling for some reason, but also does have the layout of a room inside. So I should point out that this episode was requested by viewer Mark of the Wolves, but not only that, he kindly paid for it himself as he won a Slippy Slides competition, but then donated the money towards the season pass, so a massive thank you to him for both the Tekken 7 episodes. One of the sequences he wanted to see was the Geese Howard entrance to his own stage, and it is fairly unique, but I managed to capture this footage of it happening, and if you watch closely, you can see how it all works.
Bring it on! Bring it on! Bring it on!
So there we go, I hope that showed the answer to any questions you may have had, including the fact that the stages load up behind the versus screen, which is basically just an overlay screen. It's something that you possibly wouldn't even think about when playing the game normally, but it is cool to see. And that is also the end of the episode. As always, I hope you've enjoyed it, and until next time, take care guys.